So picture this. Your phone battery just hit 2%, the screen dims, and that little blue GPS dot you've been trusting with your entire itinerary, it suddenly just freezes.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. It jumps 3 blocks to the east, and then it just vanishes entirely.
The absolute worst.
You look up, and the street signs might as well be written in hieroglyphics. The architecture is completely unfamiliar. And to top it all off, you are 10 minutes late for a career-defining meeting in a city you do not know.
Yep. The realization hits you like a physical weight.
Exactly. You are hopelessly, undeniably lost. Welcome to the English Boost podcast.
It's just a universal, visceral, human panic, isn't it? The moment the technology fails us, we're instantly thrown back into this ancient high-stakes scenario.
Yeah, you have exactly one option left to survive the situation, and it requires breaking a fundamental modern taboo. You have to, actually walk up to a total stranger on the street and ask for help.
Right. And it's not even just a travel nightmare. I mean, the reverse scenario is just as jarring.
Oh, totally. Like when you're just walking down your own street.
Exactly. You're carrying your groceries, completely lost in thought, and suddenly a tourist steps right into your path with those wide, panicked eyes.
The deer in headlights look.
Yes. Either way, you were thrust into this spontaneous, high-pressure linguistic test. I mean, you didn't study for it. You have zero prep time. But you are suddenly relying entirely on your English fluency to either rescue yourself or rescue someone else.
And that spontaneous test is exactly what we are unpacking today. Based on a comprehensive language guide we're looking at, we are breaking down the absolute essentials of navigation.
But, we aren't just looking at a list of vocabulary words here.
Right, it's way deeper than that.
It is. We're going to explore the psychology of approaching a stranger, the cognitive load of processing spatial language under pressure, and the specific structural phrases you need to effortlessly ask for, understand, and give directions.
Because honestly, the truth is, mastering this very specific functional language, it's the ultimate shortcut to confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if you can navigate a stranger through your hometown or successfully find some hidden train station in a foreign country without your phone, you unlock a level of self-assurance that carries over into everything else.
So let's start with that initial moment of panic when you are the one who is lost. Because before you can ask someone how to get to the museum or the bank, you have to actually initiate contact.
You have to bridge that physical gap between two complete strangers.
Exactly. And the foundational rule the source material emphasizes here is one of extreme politeness.
Right.
The recommended openers are highly structured. Things like, "Hello, can you help me, please?" Or, "Good morning, may I ask for some help?" Or, "Excuse me, could you help?"
Okay, I understand the theory behind being polite, but I have to be honest here.
Sure.
If I am sprinting to catch a train and the doors close in 4 minutes, I am not stopping to say, "Good morning, may I ask for some assistance?"
You're just trying to survive.
Yeah. That feels like a massive waste of precious seconds. If I'm panicked, my instinct is to just lock eyes with someone, point down the street, and yell, "Subway!"
I mean, the urgency makes that instinct completely understandable.
Yeah.
But linguistically and psychologically, skipping the polite opener usually works against you.
Really? How so?
Well, when you suddenly enter a stranger's personal space on a sidewalk, their immediate hardwired biological response is defensive.
Oh, sure.
Right? They're wondering, why is this person approaching me? Are they selling something? Are they a threat?
Ah, I see. So the good morning isn't just about manners. It's like a social key.
Precisely. It is a verbal de-escalation. By using a formal, polite opener like, "Excuse me, could you help?" you instantly signal that you are safe, respectful, and, vulnerable.
You're not a threat.
Right.
Good.
We're communicating that you are asking for a favor, not making a demand. And furthermore, you are buying their brain critical processing time.
Processing time. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. If you just shout "Subway" at a passing local, their brain hasn't had time to switch gears from whatever they were thinking about into navigation mode,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
or potentially into English mode if you are in a non-native English-speaking environment. The polite phrase acts as a buffer.
It wakes them up.
Exactly. It diffuses the threat and prepares them to actually listen to your real question.
Okay, that makes total sense. You have to unlock the door before you can walk through it. So let's assume the social key worked. The strangers stop. They're smiling. They're receptive. Now you have to actually name your destination.
Yes, this is where you deploy your spatial nouns. The core destinations like the bank, the museum, the subway station, the park. But, and this is key, the source highlights that you shouldn't just pair these nouns with a direct interrogation.
Right.
You shouldn't just ask, where is the museum?
Because, again, that feels a bit too much like an interrogation. It's a bit
Like,
jarring.
it creates unnecessary friction. Instead, the guide introduces the power of indirect questions.
Like what?
Phrases like, could you tell me how to get to the bank? Or, do you know where the museum is? Structurally, you are asking them about their ability to help, rather than demanding the location itself.
That's smart. It frames the interaction collaboratively.
It softens the blow, yeah.
I also noticed the source provides variations that gauge proximity, which I think is a brilliant strategic move when you're lost.
Oh, the distance questions?
Yeah. Phrases like, we can't find the subway station, is it near here? You're not just asking for a map line. You are trying to figure out if you need to walk for 2 minutes or, hail a taxi.
Gauging the scale of your geographical mistake is crucial. Asking, is it near here, manages your own expectations before they even start giving you the step-by-step route.
Which brings us to the absolute most dangerous part of this entire interaction.
The actual directions.
Yes, you've successfully stopped a stranger. You flawlessly ask, could you tell me how to get to the subway station? They smile, they nod, and then they start talking.
And the panic sets in?
Right. Suddenly, this tidal wave of spatial language is coming at you, and you have to actually comprehend it in real time.
This is where cognitive overload typically happens. When we listen to directions, our brains tend to hyper-focus on the nouns, the tangible landmarks.
Like the buildings and streets.
Right. We listen for bridge, mall, traffic light. But the real mechanics of navigation, the invisible forces that actually guide you, they rely entirely on a different class of words.
The prepositions, the glue holding the bricks together.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. The nouns are the bricks, but the prepositions and adverbs are the mortar. The source material emphasizes how critical it is to master phrases like in front of the mall versus next to the bank.
Because it changes everything.
Completely. If you process the word mall, but miss the preposition behind, you're going to spend 20 minutes circling the wrong side of a massive concrete building.
It's so true. Abstract concepts like spatial relations are always the first thing to evaporate from your memory when your adrenaline is spiking. Like, it's easy to remember cinema. It's incredibly difficult to remember if they said past the cinema or into the cinema when you are stressed out.
Which is exactly why the phrase straight on is highlighted so heavily in the guide. Go straight on for about 1 kilometer. That phrase is a cognitive gift.
How so? A cognitive gift.
Because it represents mental momentum. Every time you have to make a turn, your brain has to reorient its internal compass. Straight on means you can suspend that heavy cognitive load for a specific duration.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it means don't deviate, don't rethink, just maintain your current trajectory until the environment changes.
I love looking at it that way. It's a pause in the mental gymnastics of navigating.
Exactly.
But, navigation isn't just about survival. Sometimes it's about strategy. There's a specific sentence in the source that really caught my eye.
Which one?
It says, I prefer going to the airport on the highway because it's faster.
Ah. That is a fascinating inclusion in a basic direction guide. Why did that specific sentence stand out to you?
Well, because it shifts the goalposts. When we are lost, we assume there's only one correct path, and we just need someone to reveal it to us. But that sentence proves that navigation involves preference. It involves evaluation.
That's a great point.
Right. It's not just about the destination. It's about the nature of the journey. Do you want the scenic route, the walking route, or in this case, the absolute fastest route? Being able to articulate because it's faster means you aren't just blindly following a compass. You are actively managing your time.
It implies agency. You are in control of the journey, even in an unfamiliar place. But of course, even with agency and the best strategic intentions, reality is messy.
Very messy.
You misunderstand a preposition, a street sign is missing, or you simply take a left instead of a right.
The dreaded mid-journey panic. You've been walking confidently for 4 blocks, and suddenly you realize you haven't seen a single landmark the person mentioned. The confidence just completely evaporates.
And the source provides a very specific linguistic safety net for this exact moment.
Yeah.
Course correction phrases. Instead of waiting until you are hopelessly far off track to ask for a completely new set of directions, you can verify your current trajectory.
Checkpoints.
Yes, checkpoints. Phrases like, are we on the right road to the city center? Or, is this the right way to the mall? These are incredibly efficient because they are closed questions.
Meaning they just say yes or no.
Exactly. They only require a yes or no answer from the local.
And that drastically reduces the pressure on everyone. You don't have to absorb a new 15-step master plan. You are just asking for a binary confirmation like, am I messing this up?
Right. And if they say yes, you keep walking. If they say no, then you can ask the follow-up, what's the best way to get to the airport from here?
It's an elegant strategy for managing cognitive load. It means you only ever have to memorize the next 3 steps of a route. You get the initial directions, you walk until you feel uncertain, you course correct, and you get the next 3 steps.
It turns a massive, intimidating navigation problem into a series of highly manageable micro-interactions.
Okay, so we've established the survival guide for the lost traveler. We understand the psychology of the polite opener. We know how to listen for the prepositions rather than just the nouns. And we know how to use course-correcting checkpoints to avoid wandering into the abyss.
Right.
But the source material takes a brilliant turn here. It completely flips the perspective.
It really does. It forces you to look at the other side of the equation. What happens when foreigners visit your city or foreign colleagues visit your office and they ask you for directions?
To me, this is where the material elevates from functional survival into active mastery. The guide frames this not as an annoying interruption to your day, but as an incredible, spontaneous opportunity to practice your own English.
Absolutely.
It transforms a random street encounter into a real-world, high-stakes language exercise where you hold the power. You are the guide.
The power dynamic completely shifts.
Yeah.
And with that shift comes a mandatory change in grammatical structure. When you become the navigator, you must employ the imperative.
The command form. And this is where cultural friction often occurs, right?
Oh, heavily. In many languages and cultures, giving a direct command to a stranger without layers of polite softening is considered incredibly rude, if not outright aggressive.
Yeah, people feel bad doing it.
But in English navigation, the imperative is the standard. You drop the subject entirely. You do not say, I think perhaps you should consider going past the cinema. You simply state, go past the cinema.
To an untrained ear, it sounds incredibly bossy. You're just barking orders at a tourist. Go along this road, go straight on, go through the tunnel.
It does sound commanding.
Yeah.
But in the context of someone who is lost, directness is a form of deep kindness.
Oh, I like that. Deep kindness.
It is. Ambiguity is the absolute enemy of navigation. If a tourist is panicked, they do not want conversational nuance. They want certainty.
That is such a crucial reframe. I've been on the receiving end of polite ambiguity where someone says, well, you can maybe take a left up ahead, or perhaps the next street is better.
It's awful.
It really is. It leaves you more paralyzed than before you asked. You need them to be decisive.
And the imperative provides that decisiveness. And the source organizes these commands logically, moving from general movement verbs to specific sequencing.
Right, the sequencing is vital. At the roundabout, take the first exit. Turn left at the crossroads. Take the second right.
It builds a structure.
Yeah, that structure, first, second, next, organizes the chaos for the listener. You're essentially building a mental map in their head, one chronological step at a time.
You are limiting their cognitive load, and then you cap off those sequential steps with location phrases. It's on your left, or it's on the other side of the road. This provides the final visual confirmation they need.
But out of all the phrases the guide provides for giving directions, there is one that completely abandons all pretense of social grace. And I think it is the most important one on the list.
Another one you mean.
It is 5 blunt words. You're going the wrong way.
It is the ultimate linguistic emergency brake.
It really is. Sometimes the situation demands that you act as a verbal stop sign. If you see someone with a heavy suitcase marching confidently north when the airport train is clearly south, the social norms of politeness are just overridden by the urgency of a rescue mission.
You don't have time for tact.
Exactly. You can't gently suggest they evaluate their life choices. You just have to look them in the eye and say, you're going the wrong way.
But, delivering a phrase like that requires absolute conviction in your language skills. You're actively intervening in a stranger's reality, which exposes the ultimate challenge of this entire endeavor.
Which is?
Well, we can analyze the psychology of politeness, we can dissect the prepositions, and we can validate the imperative tense on paper. But academic understanding does not automatically translate to real-world performance.
Oh, completely. Knowing the phrase, take the second right at the roundabout while sitting comfortably in your living room is incredibly easy. Trying to pull that exact phrase out of your memory banks while a stressed business traveler is staring you down, tapping their watch, That is a completely different neurological event.
It is the classic fight-or-flight response.
Mm-hmm.
When the adrenaline spikes during an unexpected social encounter, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex language retrieval, can effectively just shut down.
The mind just goes completely blank.
Blank. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we ensure that the vocabulary doesn't evaporate the moment we actually need it on the street?
The source material offers a definitive strategy for this, actually, and it centers entirely on the concept of controlled simulation.
Practice.
Exactly. You cannot wait for the crisis to practice the skill. They advocate for internalizing these directions within a structured interactive environment, specifically a proper English course that goes far beyond just handing you a vocabulary list.
They highlight the necessity of active feedback and small group interaction, a safe space to fail.
Yes, a safe space to fail. Language acquisition requires muscle memory. You need to simulate the cognitive stress of a street encounter, but in an environment where the stakes are zero.
Like role play.
Exactly. You engage in role play. One person embodies the panic of the lost traveler, navigating only with a blank map, while the other person is forced to synthesize the directions on the fly.
It's the difference between staring at a diagram of a bicycle and actually pedaling down a hill.
That's a perfect analogy.
If you stumble over the pronunciation of roundabout, or completely forget the difference between through the tunnel and past the cinema in a classroom, you just laugh and try again.
But through that repetitive interactive failure, the neural pathways become fortified. You stop consciously translating the concepts from your native language into English, and you begin simply communicating spatial reality. The imperative phrases just become automatic.
So when that real-world moment arrives, when the tourist steps into your path, or when your phone dies in a foreign capital, the adrenaline doesn't shut down your language center.
Instead, the words just fall out of your mouth.
Because you've been there 100 times before in practice.
That simulation transforms passive reading comprehension into dynamic, active fluency. And looking at the entirety of this guide, that really feels like the core philosophy behind all of it. Navigation is rarely just about geography.
No, it is an intricate social dance.
It requires an understanding of human psychology just as much as it requires an understanding of adverbs. We've traced the entire arc today. We analyzed the biological necessity of the polite opener.
Right, using, excuse me, can you help? To diffuse a stranger's threat response and buy their brain time to process.
And we explored the cognitive mechanics of the instructions themselves, recognizing that abstract prepositions are the true directors of movement, and learning to use simple, closed questions to course correct before panic sets in.
And finally, we examined the immense power of flipping the script. By embracing the directness of the imperative tense, we can transform an anxious encounter into a masterclass in active English practice. But only if we've built the muscle memory in a controlled, feedback-rich environment first.
Exactly. Whether your goal is to confidently explore new international cities without staring at your screen, or simply to be the most helpful, decisive local in your own hometown when a visitor needs assistance, these linguistic tools are your ultimate compass.
They allow you to navigate not just the physical layout of a city, but the complex, spontaneous human interactions that bring those streets to life.
It all comes down to connection. We spend so much of our lives meticulously planning our routes, desperately keeping our phones charged so we never have to experience the friction of not knowing exactly where we are.
That's very true.
But looking at this language guide makes me wonder if we are looking at the whole concept backwards. What if getting lost isn't a failure of technology or a personal mistake?
What if it's an opportunity?
Exactly. What if a dead battery and a frozen GPS dot is actually a hidden gift? It's the ultimate spontaneous fluency test. It is an unscripted adventure that forces you to pull your eyes away from a digital screen, break the invisible social barrier, and truly, genuinely connect with another human being in the real world.
That is a profound way to reframe the anxiety of the unknown.
So the next time you find yourself on an unfamiliar street corner and that little blue dot on your screen suddenly stops moving, don't panic. Just lock your phone, take a deep breath, look around for a friendly face and say, "Excuse me, could you help?"